Hey guys, Tyler here with you. We're in the garage, the Relay Labs here. We're going to talk to you a little bit about scaling options for some of the workouts that we're going to be posting. First of all, I want to talk about the one that we put up for today. But this is going to apply to anything where there's any kind of load involved and any time that you will need to scale a workout. The workouts that are going on the website are not a one-size-fits-all kind of situation. You're going to have to scale either the movement or the load, the rep scheme, something like that, so that you can get the work done and still maintain the same stimulus that we're looking for. So what we have for today is we have 4-time, 21, 15, and 9 burpees from ground to overhead using a 45-pound pair of dumbbells, and we're going to pair that up with pull-ups. So obviously what that means is we're going to do 21 burpees ground overhead, 21 pull-ups, 15 burpees ground overhead, 15 pull-ups, and so on. So I did this workout this afternoon, and I will tell you that this gets spicy in a hurry. So the load was probably a little bit heavy for most people out there. I know it was a little bit heavy for me. If I had it to do over again, I'd probably scale down the weights just a little bit. But we have a couple of different options. Okay, first we want to break down the movement. We want to see exactly what's not going to work for us. Okay, so what I recommend, once you get your warm-up done, you have your thorough warm-up in, before you start going through the workout and start your watch, let's run through a round or two so that we can see how it comes together. Not just each individual exercise, but go from one to the other so you can see how it feels. That's going to be the determining factor in whether or not you're going to succeed in this workout or not. So the purpose of this workout is to keep moving. It's something that's going to be short. If we add these reps together, we're going to end up with 45 reps of each of these movements, okay? So we want to keep that in mind. If we have a weight for these dumbbells that is way too heavy, we're going to have to do that 45 times. We don't want to do too much, right? So we have, one rep at a time and have to sit there with the hands on the knees, huffing and puffing, right? You want to string together at least 3 or 4 at a time. If you're going unbroken, you're doing all these without stopping, maybe let's scale up the weight a little bit. Feel free to scale up or down as needed, okay? So basically, if you're new to this exercise, we're going to perform a burpee with 2 dumbbells, right? A pair of dumbbells. Dumbbells will go between the legs. You come out to the burpee. Once your feet hit the ground, you're going ground to overhead, shoulders fully extended, hips all the way open, knees extended as well. So it's a long range of motion for that movement. We want to make sure that any variation to the ground overhead is fine. If you want to clean and jerk the dumbbells, that's fine. If you want to snatch the dumbbells, that's fine. If you want to use sort of a modified kettlebell type swing to get them up there, that's okay. But let's make sure we maintain the midline stability and we're not putting ourselves in a bad position because we have too much weight in our hands, if that makes sense. So we want to make sure that we preserve that stimulus. We want something that's going to be a long range of motion and something that's going to happen pretty quickly, okay? If we were to sub something like an air squat, that's too fast. We need to slow it down a little bit, add a little bit of load in there. Also did this workout with a buddy of mine, and instead of going from ground to overhead, we did the burpees and just had him perform a deadlift. So it was a burpee with a deadlift. Worked well for him. He was able to keep moving, keep that stimulus going, and we were sort of trying to preserve that time domain. Second exercise is obviously going to be pull-ups. A couple variations here. We have jumping pull-ups, we have banded pull-ups, we have full pull-ups, kipping pull-ups, strict pull-ups, whatever you want to do is fine. Any grip works. Make sure that you come full extension and then chin above the bar. That's the standard that we're looking for. Pull-ups, we can sub a few things, but I want to keep that stimulus pretty much the same. We're looking for an overhead pull. A bent over row is not in the same plane. And they're not a good sub for that. So when we're looking for exercises to sub out, we want to think of the range of motion that we're using. We want to look at the exercise prescription in terms of muscle group. Okay, if we have something for an overhead press, we don't want to sub a squat, right? Because we may be squatting tomorrow. We may have something we want to preserve that stimulus with. Okay, so we don't want to sub those in. We want to stay away from isolation movements. Something like this burpee with ground to overhead is a very complex compound exercise. We don't want to sub, something like a bicep curl or just an overhead press. We could maybe sub a thruster for that if we're having trouble doing burpees. Regular burpees with a tuck jump or a box jump would work. Something that's going to get a little bit of an extra kick to it to slow us down a little bit so we're not running through this thing. As an indicator of how this works, this took me about 10 minutes and it was rough. So had it to do again, I would probably drop this load for the dumbbell so that I could move through it a little faster. But all in all, it was a great workout and it's a good set of exercises to kind of put together. Really fried for the pull-ups when we get there. So keep that in mind. Tomorrow we're going to focus more on a conditioning day. We had power cleans for our strength component for today. So anytime you guys need to scale anything, you have any questions, slap them in the comments, let us know. We'll get back to you as soon as possible. It may not be a bad idea to work a couple days behind on the site so that you know what's coming up. You can ask some questions and give us some time to get back to you. So once again, this is Tyler signing off. Thanks a lot.